Let me start then. Welcome again to our third webinar. It's the third time already we're meeting online with our IT Matters online meeting series. This time I'm really excited to have Crystal Mbanefo with me. I'm sorry. And well, all I can say, she's really awesome. She's really a person that I enjoy talking to, so I'm really excited about it. But what's important, Crystal is a person who started as a software developer, and then she discovered the other side, the side of life coaching, and she's now an emotional intelligence coach. Am I saying that correctly?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. She's also helping young students, tech students, in their careers to not only ensure that they thrive in their technical skills, but also in the soft skills. Okay. Crystal, maybe you'd like to add something to that. I'm hoping it's a good introduction.
Yeah, it was a really good introduction. Thank you, Joanna. And hi, everyone. I'm really looking forward to running this webinar with you today. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So because I think everyone can hear us, we have I think some people will still join us, but let's not delay. So we can, I guess we can start.
Okay.
Crystal, you will start with your presentation, right?
All right.
Today we will talk about receiving feedback with resilience. I think it's a topic that is very relevant for all of us because we receive feedback every day from our colleagues, from our family, from our friends, and it's not always easy. Well, I would say it's never easy, especially if it's something that it's not nice to hear. So today we will talk about that as well and how to build your resilience while receiving feedback. Okay, up to you now, Crystal.
Okay.
Go.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Crystal, and we're going to start the webinar on receiving feedback with resilience. Before we start, please, can you just type in the chat box which countries you're from? Because I'm really interested to find out where everyone in the webinar is from. Belgium. Okay. Poland. Nice. Poland as well. Poland. Okay. Poland. Uzbekistan. Wow. Amazing. Germany. Poland. Okay. Awesome. Welcome, everyone. I'm from Nigeria, and I also have French nationality as well. And I live in the UK. Pretty confusing. But yeah, really lovely to have all of you from different nationalities here. All right. Let's begin. All right, so just a bit of housekeeping before we go on. I'll be speaking a lot during this webinar, but I also want you to participate. I want it to be like interactive and fun for you because that's how we learn. So there'll be some interactive questions, and feel free to use the chat box at the bottom right of your screen. And there'll also be some fun polling, some fun questions that have nothing to do with the webinar, but it helps break up the content and helps make it fun for you. All right, so the structure of this webinar is, first of all, we're going to start with positive and negative feedback effects on us. Okay, we'll look into that. And then we'll go into the techniques of how we can build our resilience when we receive feedback. And to end, we'll have some questions and answer sessions. So please feel free to either write your questions in the chat box as I talk, or to jot them down on a piece of paper and then write them later in the end. Here we go. So first exercise for you, how do you feel when you receive positive feedback, the good feedback? Can you type in the chat box so we can have a look at that? How do you feel about that? Proud and strong. Okay. All right. Just gonna do that. Appreciated. Yeah. Awkward. Oh, awkward. Okay. Sometimes happy. Okay. Happy but suspicious. Yeah. I sometimes get that. Yeah. Happy, proud, sometimes skeptic. Depends on the sender and wording. Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah. Curious. Okay. Okay. Nice. So we have a different range of emotions. Proud of myself. We have a different range of emotions we feel when we receive positive feedback. Okay. So if you imagine that this is you have a tank, and this is your mental well-being tank, and it's labeled from 1 to 10, and 1 is like the lowest level of mental well-being, and 10 is literally shooting through the roof. Where would you put your mental well-being on a scale of 1 to 10 when you receive positive feedback? Feel free to type in the chat. 5, okay. 5, all right. So not so great when you receive positive feedback. 8, 7, 8, okay. Okay. All right, so an average of 5 I'm seeing from the attendees. Okay, all right. So let's go into the not so great feedback, okay? How do you feel when you receive this? What emotions come up for you? Stressed, okay. Yeah. I tend to feel sometimes like beating myself up. I'm not good enough. Frustrated, yeah, feel frustration, disappointed, yeah, second guessing myself. I also feel that as well. And I really, really try to analyze what's wrong. So I really agree with Anastasia. Yeah, I'm ready for action. Yeah, I've coached a lot of students who feel ready for action when they receive not so good feedback. Okay, fight or flight, sometimes wanting to do something about it. Yeah, okay. Planning for improvement and analyzing as well. Sometimes feeling judged and not feeling good enough. Okay, all right. So if you look at the mental well-being tank again, on a scale of 1 to 10, how is your mental well-being in these areas when you receive not so good feedback? 4, 3, 5, 2, 4, 5. Okay, okay. So generally lower than the positive one, okay, from what I'm noticing. And yeah, it's common knowledge to all of us humans that we have certain emotions. So if you look at the circle on the left, we have a range of emotions. The left of the circle shows what we would call not so nice emotions, feeling demotivated, ashamed, angry, frustrated, depressed, sad, things like that. And on the right of the circle, feeling motivated, happy, valued, respected, heard, energized. So these are a range of emotions that we can feel when we receive feedback, okay? And these emotions can play on your mental well-being levels, okay? So it's really important to understand this, that when we have these emotions, they have a mental and psychological effect on us, okay? If we have a low mental well-being, this is going to affect the way we act out. I've seen a lot of clients who are burnt out after a certain time because they receive a lot of negative feedback, people who feel demotivated or depressed because they take the feedback really to heart. You can also feel a lot of anxiety and a lot of fear around the situation and many more emotions. And these can really, really affect the way you act out after you've received feedback. So it's really important to make this link between the mental well-being and our actions after, okay? The aim of resilience in feedback, especially in receiving feedback, is to give you more control over the mental well-being levels of your tank. Despite the feedback that you are receiving, whether it's negative or positive, it's this ability to be able to control your levels so that you're able to act in a way that serves and benefits you. Okay. So that's the aim of resilience. Something I want to state here that's really, really important is the aim of resilience is not to remove the emotions. It's not to remove the negative feelings of fear or shame or anger or anything. These emotions for me are valid. They are part of us because we are human. But the aim of resilience is to feel these emotions and then take a step towards building our resilience to move forward. Okay? It's not about removing them. It's about making ourselves feel better once we felt them. Right? Okay. So in a nutshell, resilience and receiving feedback looks like this. The first step is raising awareness of yourself. Okay, and we're going to go through the techniques that help you do that. The second step is introspection, really asking yourself questions. If you've ever worked with a coach, you'll notice that the coaches keep asking questions rather than giving you solutions. And this is something that I'd really like for you to start practicing if you can, the art of asking yourself really pertinent questions. Okay. The third step is making conscious choices, being able to make choices that benefit you, that serve you, and that can help you move forward, despite the feedback that you have received. The fourth step is maintaining your tank levels. And it's really, really important to always have this at the back of your mind. What's my tank level like? Am I a 5? Am I a 3? How can I get it to a position where I feel comfortable with? Okay. So that's the resilience in a nutshell. All right, we've come to a first fun polling section. Over to you, over to your chat box. In one word, what's the best invention of the 21st century? Tell me, what do you think it is for you? What would I say it is? What will you say it is, Joanna?
Coffee dripper. Kuba is saying it's a coffee dripper.
Coffee dripper.
Yeah, I would kind of agree with that as well. Google Maps. Oh yes. Google
Yes,
Maps.
I definitely agree with Google Maps.
I would say a dishwasher.
Oh, I see my friend Katie's online. She says Zoom. Yes, Zoom has definitely helped us in these times.
Yeah.
The drip was created after 2000. Oh, thank you, Jacob. I didn't know. Online streaming. Yeah.
Very helpful.
All right, let's see. Next question. Which superpower would you like to have and why? Which superpower would you like to have and why? I think I'd like to have invisibility. That would be really nice.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'd be able to travel anywhere in the world without needing a passport.
Flying to avoid traffic. Yes, a good one, yes.
Flying to avoid traffic. That's really nice. All right, it's just time stopping and not getting older.
Not getting older. Yes.
Yes, Thomas. I would love that too. Oh, good question. Can you switch on and off your superpower?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I don't know. Good question. I'll think about that for the next webinar. Mind control makes a lot of things easier. Yes.
Oh, that can be used in the evil way, but in mind control sounds a bit like, villain in a sci-fi movie kind of power.
Manipulation of time as well, making it faster or slower as needed. Yeah.
Oh yes, definitely.
Nice. I can see some people are still typing. Calming people around me. Oh, that would be so nice.
Oh, very nice. Very thoughtful. Very thoughtful.
Why have superpowers if you're not going to use it for its whole range of opportunities? Thanks, Baron. Very good analysis. Have excellent memories and super fast learning. I completely agree, Anastasia. Actually, I have this dream that one day I'll be able to invent a drip system that allows me to download books directly into my bloodstream so that I don't need to spend time reading them. Okay, so let's move on to the next part of our webinar. So as I said, The aim of resilience is not to control the emotions, but actually to have more control on our level of well-being, okay? And to know where we are in our level of well-being and how we can increase it. All right. So in a nutshell, this is what it looks like. Somebody gives you feedback. The person in red on the left is the giver of the feedback. In most times, many of us, it's just my perception, but many of us, we receive this feedback and we feel hurt, we feel disappointed, we feel demotivated, we might even feel like, I'm not good enough, you know, and this can really affect us. But what we want to do is insert the orange person in the middle, which is the resilience filter or the resilience technique, okay? And use that technique to sort of filter the feedback we're receiving. And then we're able to make a valid choice, which is the person in green on your right. We're able to make like a conscious choice of whether to receive that feedback or not, and how to implement it in a way that can help us move forward constructively. Okay. All right. So now that we know that, we're going to explore these resilience techniques in feedback reception. All right, here we go. So the first technique I have is identifying feedback forms. This is the very first one I really want to share with you. Let's look into that first of all. On the left, you see the verbal feedback. This is feedback that you receive from friends, from family, from employees, from managers, from people, okay? And that's verbally given to you. That's the first form of feedback. In the middle, you see the non-verbal feedback. And this is feedback that you get from, let's say, emails, social media, when you look at other people on Instagram and you want their lives and you start thinking about it, or even feedback from someone honking their horn in a car, wanting you to cross the street really quickly because they're driving past. So this is feedback that doesn't really involve talking, but it involves a sort of like human communication, like an inner human communication. It's nonverbal feedback. Okay. And the third type of feedback, which for me is actually one of the most important and one of the most crucial types of feedback, is self-talk feedback. The type of feedback that you give yourself when you talk to yourself, okay? Types of words like, oh, I'm awesome today, is a type of feedback you give yourself. And words like, oh, I'm not good enough, I will never be good enough, I'm ugly, you know, I'm not handsome enough. This is type of self-talk feedback we give ourselves. And we do it sometimes unconsciously. So it's really important to stop that cycle and to identify what type of feedback form you are receiving. Okay? So the technique of resilience here to implement is introspection. And it's asking yourself the question, I'm getting some feedback here. How do I want to respond to it? Okay? It makes you feel that you're less caught off guard. Okay? You're not just taking in information. Oh my gosh, look how amazing that person is. Why am I the same? You're less caught off guard, and there's room for choice in how you think about the situation. Okay? And that can help you increase your mental well-being. So it's really good to have this pause, okay? And then really think, what sort of feedback am I getting here? And how do I want to respond to it? So that's the first one. The second one is raising your acceptance levels. And before I go into this one, I want to mention that none of what I'm going to say today is actually new. All these things already exist and have been said in millions of webinars, okay? What is new in what I'm saying is the amount of work that you're going to put into it. Building resilience demands effort and it demands work, okay? The normal default state is very different from a state that has been worked through and through, okay? So raising your acceptance levels. Here we go. There's something that I've noticed which is called behavior labeling, and it can happen in different industries, wherever you are. And I really want your opinion on this after. I've noticed in the places that I have worked that sometimes when you are nice and not assertive and non-challenging, you're seen like a really good person in the company, and you're the one who is most likely up for promotion, who is really liked by the managers, and that's a kind of behavior, okay? And on the other side, if you're the one who's really upset about things and gets annoyed really quickly or frustrated really quickly about things, sometimes you're the one who is less, people want to associate less with you, and you're not really up for promotion. But this really depends. It's not a generalization. It depends on places you have worked, okay? And I noticed that we can have this type of behavior labeling. When you have this behavior labeling, it can really, really get to you in your self-talk feedback, okay? You start to think, okay, people don't like me. I'm not good enough. What is wrong with me? Why aren't I this? Why aren't I that? And then the feedback you're receiving from them is really, really affecting your psyche and your mental well-being, okay? All right, so when you receive that, I really want you to, okay, first of all, before I go into the solution, have you ever been in this situation? I'm going to go into the chat. Have you ever felt this before? So Jacob says, there's a lot of testers here. It's our profession to be upset about things, and we get promoted for that. Oh, that's great. If you get promoted for that, and it's fine with you, Jacob, that is totally fine, okay? Anastasia says, yes, haha, true. Antela says, yes, as well. Okay, so some people have been in this situation, yeah, of behavior labeling. I have noticed it as well. Okay. All right. So if you've been in this situation before, okay. So if you've been in this situation before, here's what I really want you to practice with your acceptance levels, okay? I want you to remember that as humans, we have thoughts, we have emotions, we have a certain environment in which we react to that environment, and certain circumstances which affect the way we react, okay? What I'm trying to say here is we will not be perfect 100% of the time. And there are some times where you will react in a way that is natural to you. It might be anger, it might be frustration, it might be something else, right? So it's just important to know that. And then I want you to accept that. And a way of accepting that is doing this, what we call a mindset practice. Okay, I accept that I did what I could, acted as I could with what I had at the time. Okay.
Oh, that's awesome. that's really important. Yeah.
And I know
really like that.
And I know that some people might say, "Oh, but Crystal, like this is all wishy-washy, and you know, it's really lovey-dovey." This practice is really hard to do. There are so many names for it in the coaching and psychological world.
Yes.
There's matrix rewiring. There's conscious choices. There's all these kind of things. It sounds simple, but if you're able to really practice it, you'll notice that it's difficult, and that with time, it gets easier to say this to yourself. And it actually helps build your resilience. Okay? All right. So when you do this, okay, when you raise this acceptance level of yourself, what it does mentally for you is it reduces that sense of blame. Okay? The sense of blame is something that is really strong. Shame is a really, really strong emotion. If you've ever watched Brené Brown's videos, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, the power of shame, of how it can hold you down. Okay, so when you do this mindfulness acceptance of yourself, okay, it reduces the blame in your brain, and it allows room for constructive thought, where you can really, really think of how you can take the constructive criticism and use it to better your life, okay? And it also helps increase your mental well-being, okay? So that's raising your acceptance levels. All right. The third resilience technique that I want to share with you is raise your awareness of external factors and how they affect the feedback you will receive, okay? One of the external factors that I want to bring up here is unhealthy hierarchies. I've worked for many, many unhealthy hierarchies, okay? And these are places where we have the system where management are seen to be people who tell you what to do rather than leading you, okay? Luckily for us, I've noticed that many companies, especially boot camps, are adopting this new way of management, this new way of thinking, which is more of a collaboration rather than a hierarchy. So I'm really excited about that. But if you are in an unhealthy hierarchy where you are not listened to, and all you're doing is being told what to do, whether you agree or not, it could really affect the feedback that you receive and the way you take on that feedback. Okay. So these can have a really negative effect. Sometimes they can make you feel annoyed. They can make you feel like you don't have power over the situation and make you feel embarrassed by it. Okay. They can also make you feel ashamed. And if the situation continues for a very long time, you can experience burnout. Okay. So it's really important to know these factors. Okay. So now I want to know, jump on your chat and tell me if you've ever been in an unhealthy hierarchy before.
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay. We all know this. We all know this, Crystal.
Okay.
We all have that experience. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So here is the resilience technique that I really want you to practice when you are in an unhealthy hierarchy. Again, it's a practice of introspection, and you ask yourself, is this hierarchy toxic for me? Okay. Start by asking these questions rather than just taking in everything they say. Second question, what environment suits my values? What values do I stand for? And what environment suits them? Okay. Third question, how can I get that environment? It's really important to understand the values that define you so that you know the excellent workplace that you are looking for. Okay? Mm-hmm. All right. What this introspection does in your mental well-being tank, it increases your ability to discover yourself. Yeah, we're all on a journey of self-discovery. There's so many people who change careers in their lifetime, who change jobs in their lifetime. Why? Because they're discovering themselves as they go along. So it increases your ability to discover yourself and increases your control over yourself as well, even though you have no control over the hierarchy in the situation. And it helps raise your mental well-being because you're taking charge of yourself, of your future, and of your well-being. Okay? All right. Okay. Oh, it's time for a fun poll. All right. So I've talked a lot. Now it's time for you to have some fun. Can you name 3 countries starting with the letter K? Joanna might have a prize for someone at the end of this.
Yes. Yeah, why not? Yeah, I think I can figure out something. Wow. Kenya.
Oh, nice.
Korea.
Kenya.
Nice.
Oh, Caitlin, I think Cameroon is with the C. Kazakhstan, yes, Kazakhstan. Congo is with a C.
Congo, yeah.
It's not with a K. Korea, Kenya, Kazakhstan. Yay, awesome.
It was too easy, Crystal, for our audience.
It was too easy.
Yeah, it was too easy.
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
it's language dependent. I didn't know that. Oh, thank you so much for teaching me something new.
Point. Yeah.
Thank you, Caitlin. Oh, nice. Okay.
Of course,
all right.
Yeah.
In Spanish, some of them with a C. Oh, thank you so much, Antonella. Okay. So we've got another fun polling question. What's one thing you enjoyed during COVID-19? What's one thing you enjoyed doing during COVID-19?
Oh, coming back to learning Spanish.
Webinars.
Yes.
Not having to commute. Jacob, I completely agree with you.
Yeah, good one.
In public places. Learning how to make stop motion short films. Wow. More time for hobbies. I completely agree. Yeah. Spent more time with my dog. Yeah. Lazy time with my partner. Awesome. Yeah. Having more time with my daughter. Yeah. That's amazing. That is so cool. Workouts at home. Yeah, I completely agree. I do like probably two dance classes every day. Taking part in events. Yes, that is so true.
Yeah.
I've done more events at home than I've done outside. So that's interesting. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much for participating, everyone. It's really fun to have this interaction with you. All right, so let's continue with our webinar. Okay, so quick recap. we've looked at some techniques to build our resilience. The first one we've seen is identifying feedback forms, okay? Whether it's verbal feedback, non-verbal feedback, or self-talk feedback. The second one we looked at was raising our acceptance levels by practicing mindset values, mindset acceptance of ourselves, knowing that we have thoughts, emotions, circumstances, and environment that affects the way we behave. And we are just human. That's the way we are. And third thing that we've looked at is external factors like unhealthy hierarchies. So let's continue with the external factors. Another external factor is cultural differences. Okay, so if you've just noticed, Catherine just told me in some cultures, Kenya is with a C, Congo is with a C, right? So imagine I was giving her that feedback. It depends on the culture as well. For me, it was with a K, and for her, it's with a C. It's the same when we come to cultural differences. For example, if you look at the image on the screen, the guy on the left says, "You're quiet in meetings," okay? And the guy on the right says, "Well, you always dominate the conversation." Okay, it's really important when you receive feedback to look at cultural differences, okay, because cultures can determine the way we behave. So when you do this, a technique for building your resilience would be to ask yourself the following questions. Could this be a cultural difference? Okay, and if it is a cultural difference, how could we work better together knowing this? All right. Again, this type of internal introspection builds your sense of self-discovery, and it also raises keeps your mental well-being in check, okay? You might not raise it, but it keeps it in check because you're not just taking in something, you're actually questioning what you're taking in, okay? All right, there we go. Sorry, just trying to get to the next slide and see if that works. It's a bit slow. Okay, so another external factor that can affect the way we receive feedback is ego, okay? When ego is not used in a way that is constructive, it can lead to pride, jealousy, an abuse of power, and intolerance of other people, okay? Not that ego is bad, it's just when it's used in a way that's not constructive, okay? And so what we want to try and do is, again, build our resilience when somebody who is using their ego against us is affecting us, okay? Mm-hmm. So we could ask ourselves, again, these questions. Could their ego be at play? That's the first question to ask ourselves. Could it be at play here? And if their ego is at play here, is their feedback useful to me? Again, it builds this sense of self-discovery, okay? And helps us maintain or build our mental well-being, okay? All right. So again, I ask you a question. Have you ever been in a situation where you've experienced cultural differences when you received feedback? I heard about one last week where a client told me, I'm working with somebody in, what country was it? I think it was in Mexico. And he said, oh, they don't put on their cameras, you know, in the Zoom call. And I would like for them to put on their cameras in the Zoom call. So some cultures might be different, or some people might be different in that sense, okay? All right, so the ego one, yes. Catherine says the cultural one, not yet. Okay, okay. Some people said yes, sure, yes. All right, okay. So yes, these are situations that we might have been in or will experience, okay? So this is a quick recap of what we've seen so far. We've looked at identifying feedback forms, raising acceptance levels, and external factors like ego, hierarchy, behavior. There are so many others, gender, race, there are a lot, okay? But just being aware of them can help build your resilience. Oh my gosh, there's another fun poll. I'm sorry about that. Oh, this is okay, quickly, I'll give you 10 seconds. Can you guess the movie? Silence of the Lambs. Yes. Okay.
Oh, Crystal, I'm sorry you didn't tell me we would have so many fun polling. I would prepare some prizes for people. Not walking off the ship. Not waking the ship, but very inventive.
Okay. The next one. Guess this one. It's your last one.
Oh.
Can you guess this movie? 4 Weddings and a Funeral. Yeah, awesome. You win the rights to continue in the webinar. All right, so let's go back to our webinar then. All right. So let's look at more resilience techniques, okay? The next one that we're going to look at is redefining feedback. All right. So tell me, guys, sorry, I'm not going to use the word guys. Tell me, people, in one word, what does feedback mean to you in one word? Think about it. What is feedback for you? Information, progress.
Progress.
Okay. Reaction, validation in a time. Okay. Review, okay. Action. All right. So we have different views of what feedback means to us, okay? I'm going to share what feedback means to me, and please bear in mind, this is just my view, okay? Antonella says opinion, okay? And I think my view is going to join Antonella a bit more, okay? So this is how I redefine feedback. Feedback is the perception of the giver. It is neither fact nor truth. And the reason I chose this definition is because of the word perception, okay? And this is something that I learned in a coaching school through something they explained called mind maps. And I'm going to share that with you. What is a mind map? To understand a mind map, I want you to imagine that all of us in the world are born with cell phones, okay? And when we come in with these cell phones, they each have an operating system, a default operating system, completely blank, all right? But as time goes on, each person adds photos, different friends, different travel experiences, different school experiences, different family upbringings, different job experiences to each of their cell phones. So each cell phone starts to collect different data based on their life experiences. Okay, and this is what we call a mind map, okay, in the coaching world. So this helps us redefine feedback because feedback, we can understand when everybody has a different mind map, that feedback emanates from another person's mind map, okay? Because of the way they have seen the world and because of the different experiences they have had whilst being in the world. No two people have had exactly the same experiences. It is literally impossible, okay? So feedback emanates from another person's mind map. And when we know this, it's easier for us to build our resilience because then we can ask ourselves the question, is their mind map here affecting the feedback they're giving me? Okay? This helps you build better control over the situation and it helps you increase your mental well-being or at least keep it at a level that is adequate for you. Okay? All right. So the fifth resilience technique I want to share with you is identifying triggers. Okay? So if you go with my definition of the mind maps and this definition of feedback being a perception from somebody else, then it means that as the receiver, you have a choice actually to receive that feedback or not. Okay? It is actually your duty and your responsibility to determine whether you receive that feedback. It is not your duty to say, oh, it's just your perception, you know, so I don't have to do any work. No. As a receiver, you really have the responsibility to determine whether it's for you or not. Okay. A trigger is actually a defense mechanism of thought in your mind that can stop you from receiving useful feedback. Not all feedback is useful, but a trigger is like a wall that can stop you from receiving effective feedback. Okay. There are three types of triggers, and these are in all the feedback conversation books, okay? I can share some of these books with you when we finish the webinar. But here are the three main types of triggers. We have the first one, which is a relationship trigger. The second one, which is an identity trigger. And the third one, which is a truth trigger, okay? Let's start with the first one. The relationship trigger is sort of a mechanism that kicks in when there's a relationship between us, the receiver, and the person giving the feedback. It could be a junior to a senior or a senior to a junior, a relationship between a sister and a brother, or a relationship between a parent and a child. For example, if somebody's giving me feedback and they are junior to me, I might say, who are you to tell me that? Yeah, these are the thoughts, the unconscious thoughts that come up in your mind and can block you from receiving it. Okay. Another trigger, which is a really big one, is the identity trigger, okay? An identity is the way you see yourself, okay? So, for example, I might see myself as a perfectionist, okay? And if somebody tells me, oh, Crystal, you did a really bad job here, you know, that trigger might flare up because I see myself as a perfectionist, okay? So how could I have done a bad job? What do you mean by that? It's my job as a receiver of the feedback to be aware of my triggers so that I can know when to control them and when it is necessary for me to receive feedback or not. Okay? And the last trigger is the truth trigger. This one is probably one of the hardest triggers to identify and to quieten, because it's a trigger of something that is too close to home, something that you know is true, but when somebody tells it to you, it is really too painful for you to see, and it's much easier for you to hide it. Okay, so this truth trigger is a sort of a difficult one, but if you're able to see it and control it, it builds your resilience to make you even stronger to accept the feedback and help you improve. Okay, all right. So we've looked at the triggers, and I was really curious to see and help you practice these triggers. Okay, I have a scenario here that I'm going to read out to you. And I want you at the end of the scenario to type in the chat box which trigger you think is being pulled. So here's the scenario. I've just been made redundant because of COVID-19. My manager, who I trust completely, insists that I've done a great job, but I don't believe her. I believe she's letting me go because I wasn't good enough. Which trigger do you think is affecting me? Identity, yeah. Identity, yeah. Yeah, identity. So I'm sort of identifying with this notion of excellence, with this notion of pride, a mix of identity and truth. I like that. Yeah. So there is not one right answer to this. It really depends on the person receiving it. Okay. So a mix of identity and truth. Okay, could be different. Let's look at another scenario. Okay. Sorry, my mouse keeps freezing. Let me just go. Okay. Let's look at another scenario. My mentor, who I trust, is overseeing my presentation for a webinar. And this actually happened to me, okay? She gives me constructive feedback on my presentation. And at the same time she's giving me that feedback, I hear thoughts in my head saying, what? My presentation is perfect. Who are you to tell me this? Identity, yeah? Awesome. So you're really quick at identifying the triggers. Truth, okay. Yeah, truth triggers, truth triggers. Okay, awesome. So it could be a mix of identity and truth, okay? So it's really good to have this reflex when these thoughts come into your mind of identifying your trigger and being able to quieten it so that you can either decide whether you want to receive the feedback or not. Okay, does that make sense? Awesome. Okay. So here's the introspective question to ask yourself when you're building your resilience. Is a trigger stopping me from receiving this feedback? And then this will help you build better control of yourself, better control of your situation, and help you maintain your well-being, your mental well-being. Okay. All right. This is the last resilience technique I'm going to share with you. And I decided to add this one because somebody asked a question in Jacob's webinar last week, which I found really interesting. She said, how do you deal with a situation when somebody is being manipulative and they're in a senior position? How do you deal with that? Yeah. So I'm going to go into these deadlock situations. I want you to imagine this scenario. We have a person A who is invested in a company. They're so excited. They want to change things in the company. They want to make things better. Okay. But person B, every time they go to them, tells them they're too demanding. They're too much to handle, always wanting to change things, you know. They shut down all their ideas. And this doesn't happen once. It happens once, twice, thrice, three times, many times over 6 months, okay? Person A feels like they can't do anything. They're literally burning out, okay? Because person B is in a situation where they're a bit more senior and they have control and authority over that situation, okay? So this technique that I'm going to introduce to you is called the drama triangle, and many of you would have heard of this before. Okay, it's a triangle that was created by Stephen Kaplan. Okay, and it illustrates 3 different roles that we as human beings are capable of playing in emotionally charged situations. Okay, this is what the triangle looks like. You have 3 roles: a role of a rescuer, the role of a persecutor, and the role of a victim. Okay, and in the middle, you'll notice that there's a vicious cycle, which means that we can stay in this triangle forever and ever. Okay, you also notice some arrows, and these arrows have 2 heads. It's because these roles are interchangeable, and you can go from a victim to a persecutor to a rescuer at any time. Okay. So if we take our scenario again of person A who was invested in change but can't seem to break through, and person B who says they're too demanding and too much to handle, okay, and we put that in the drama triangle, we can see that person A might see themselves as a victim in the situation, okay, which is down here, and person B might see themselves as the persecutor, which is over here, okay. I won't go into the rescuer part for now, but yes, there are scenarios that involve the rescuer part. Okay. So the rescuer is sort of somebody who tries to save a situation, no matter if they're involved or not. They always want to help at any time. Okay. The persecutor is sort of the person who is infringing this bullying mechanism on other people, and it can be a source of control or power over others. Okay. And the victim is the one who suffers from either the rescuer or the persecutor. Okay. All right. So what Stephen Kaplan suggested, and he said, this is much easier said than done, which means that it's a way to build your resilience because you know it's hard work, okay, is for you to be able to exit the drama triangle, okay, irrespective of the other people who are in it, to make a conscious choice to exit the drama triangle yourself for your own sanity and for your own mental well-being, okay? So how would we do this? How would you exit the drama triangle when you're in a situation where someone is being manipulative for months and months and months? Okay. So that's my question to you, actually. Type in the chat box how you think you would exit this triangle. How would you exit the triangle if it were you in this situation? Leave the company, escalate, or start loving the stagnation. Yeah, okay. Okay, thanks, Baron. Yeah. It depends on the situation. I have asked for a change of clients when I was in this situation. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Depends on the situation. And Antonella, I'm making a conscious choice to ask for a change of clients. Okay. Either looking for someone to advocate or sell my idea. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Looking into options. Okay. Okay, nice. Those are really, really good ways to exit the triangle. Yeah. But in other situations, I've changed my attitude and stopped suggesting changes because it seemed like they weren't going to change anyway. I gave up. Yes, Antonella, I actually understand that because it's also a way for you to exit the triangle as well. Looking after your own mental well-being. Yeah. Discussion between person A and B. Yes. Okay. That's another one. Antonella +1, I know that as well. Yes, I have actually been in that situation as well, where my only solution was actually to stop suggesting changes. Yeah, but it's also a way for me to exit the triangle. Okay. Meditation and compromise from Salvatore. Okay, yes, definitely another way. Yeah. Do what's the best for yourself, not to feel like suffocating. Yes. Firstly, look for a solution inside the company, and if that doesn't work, then leave. Yeah, so really good suggestions there. Okay, so this is really good. I really love your answers. So this is basically the resume, the summary of your answers. Okay, this is how I exit the drama triangle. Number 1, be aware of the role you are playing in the triangle. Really, really make that aware in your mind. Am I the victim? Am I the rescuer? Am I the persecutor? Okay. Number 2, leave the responsibility of changing others alone. Okay. We try so much to change other people. It just doesn't work. Okay. The only people we can change is ourselves. Okay. Number 3, set clear boundaries, clear personal boundaries, okay? Like some people said, I'll try in the company. If it doesn't work, I'll leave, okay? If someone is trying to make you overwork in a company and you know your hours, you set your clear boundary of doing your hours and nothing more. Is it hard to do? Yes, of course, okay? These techniques are not easy, but they help us build who we truly are. And when we find people who align with what we are, it's so much easier, okay? So it's this process of self-discovery, going through difficult journeys to help us find out our true selves, okay? Number 4, build awareness of alternative options, okay? And a lot of you have brainstormed different options, okay? Number 5, exert your power of choice. Even in very difficult situations, we all have a power of choice, okay? And that cannot be taken from us. So exert your power of choice, all right? Number 6, really, really important, take responsibility for your mental health. You don't need to be perfect in the company. You don't need to be excellent. You don't need to be all that. You just need to take care of your mental health, okay? And do what you need to exit the drama triangle, okay? All right, so how we build resilience with this in the drama triangle is asking yourself, am I in the triangle? First of all, how can I exit the triangle? Straightforward, okay? In turn, asking yourself these questions help you build a resilience, okay? And it helps maintain your mental well-being. Awesome, so here's a summary. We've looked at in this webinar the positive and negative feedback effects on our mental health, okay, and on our mental well-being. And we've also brainstormed different techniques to help us build our resilience when we receive feedback, okay? Rather than just taking it in, beating ourselves up, and feeling really bad about it, okay? So here I've put a summary of all the techniques that I've identified here that we've discussed in the webinar. So identifying feedback forms, raising our acceptance level of ourselves, being aware of external factors and how they affect the feedback we receive, redefining feedback for ourselves because we understand that people have different mind maps, identifying triggers, whether it be relationship triggers, identity triggers, or truth triggers, identifying drama triangles, identifying the role we play in drama triangles, whether we are persecutors, whether we are victims, or whether we are rescuers, and being able to exit the drama triangle irrespective of if other people decide to stay in the triangle. Okay, awesome. So before we go to the Q&A section, I want you to just type in the chat box, what is one thing that you want to take away from this webinar that will help you build your resilience when you receive feedback next time in the future? The drama triangle is great. I'd love to understand it better. Yeah, definitely, Baron. Please, everyone, if you are really interested in understanding this drama triangle better, I spent a whole day in my coaching class studying it. So to understand it better, please read Stephen Kapman's book, or please go on Google. There's a lot of articles that explain this drama triangle really well. Something that a question that really stuck in my mind in the drama triangle was why we would ever leave the persecutor role since we have power, okay? And it's something that I was really ashamed to ask when I was younger, because I thought, oh, don't say it, you know, like nobody wants you to be a persecutor. Actually, I understand the drama triangle a lot more, but we're already an hour into the webinar. I can do a longer talk on that much later. Yeah, the drama triangle is a big one. Self-acceptance is really good. The best I could do at this time. Yeah, that's a really good point. It's probably one of the hardest ones. Whenever I coach people, they're really beating themselves up because they feel so bad when they receive feedback. But self-acceptance is really important when we want to progress in our lives. Yeah. Okay. The triangle part was great. Okay. I love questions you provided us to ask ourselves. Awesome. The incentive to take a step back and introspect why I react, how I react, and improve on that. Yes, I really love that. Yeah, we are not always perfect. We are human, okay? But our strength lies in our ability to take a step back and introspect and see how we react and why we reacted that way and how we can react better for ourselves in the future, not the way society wants us to react, just for ourselves, okay? Triggers are such an important thing that many people are not aware of, and its power and the power it holds. I completely agree. If you're aware of it more, we can act better and disarm the harmful impact. Yes, I do completely agree with triggers. It is really hard, but the more you practice it, it's like anything. If you start playing basketball today, you won't be great at it. But if you play basketball for 6 months to a year, your brain will start having the new neurological pathway. Okay, it's the same with resilience. Okay, you start practicing it, it seems really difficult, and then after a while, someone is talking to you, and you will notice your trigger flare up, and you just go, "Oh, relationship trigger. Oh yeah, okay, yeah." It starts becoming automatic. So I really encourage you to start practicing it. Okay. Awesome. Oh, thank you so much. This was really fun. Okay, so now the Q&A. If you have any questions for me, please feel free to pop them in the chat. And if I can't answer your questions here, please feel free to connect with me on social media, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, or just send me an email. As you can tell, I'm a really nice chatty person, so I will definitely get back to you. How did you find the webinar, Joanna?
Oh, it was very interesting. I also like the part about self-acceptance. I think that plays a huge role in the way we receive feedback, and also like I personally think that that the choice we make, which feedback is important for us and which isn't. I try to assume that someone has a good intention when giving me, well, I would use that word, negative feedback or constructive feedback so I can improve. But sometimes we know they are not good. Those intentions are not good.
Yes, exactly.
and just to have that power to say, okay, I really don't care about this feedback. It's not giving me any good. This is also something I think that's really powerful. And it makes us just more happy about our life. If we just decide what's important and what's not. Okay, we have some. I think we have some questions coming. Okay, Ben is asking, can you be in the triangle as a persecutor but see yourself as a victim? So you have two victims.
Yeah, definitely. Baron, I completely agree with that. And actually, to make it even more complicated, you could actually have this triangle within yourself. So without other people participating in the triangle, you can actually be your own persecutor and at the same time be your own victim and at the same time be your own rescuer. Okay, so depending on the way you talk to yourself, you can play all three roles at the same time. So it's actually possible for a persecutor to see themselves as a victim and at the same time have two victims in that triangle. Okay, it's raising our awareness of it as well. Okay.
It's a mind blown. Okay. Next question, or just a comment, Salvatore. Drama triangle sounds like a New Order, sounds bizarre love triangle. Okay.
Oh, Salvatore, that's really funny.
Oh, Crystal, I would love to see you at IT Matters conference in Warsaw this year.
I would love to be there.
Well, I really hope so. I mean, yes, we are really looking forward to meeting you in person again. Although, as much as we enjoy those meetings, yeah, we really miss real interactions, face to face. Yes, Crystal in Warsaw. So I think it's an official invitation, Crystal. So you have to come to Warsaw. Let's have these borders open, and
I would try to learn Polish by then.
Okay. Crystal, you totally ruled the online webinars. I love how you use this medium.
Oh, thank you so much, Anna.
That's a great feedback. Okay. Well, lots of feedback, and thank you for that.
It's interesting. They're giving me feedback on my feedback webinar. That's interesting.
Yes.
It's like inception of feedback. Oh, really lovely to have a nice group of people. It's really nice.
Okay. I think some people are still typing, so let's just give them a moment. Yeah, oh, great atmosphere also. I'll be smiling all the time. Oh, awesome. That's so good to hear.
Oh, that is so
That's
nice.
the goal as well. That's all thanks to Crystal. Thank you very much, Crystal. I was looking forward to it, and it's like I can only say that you met all my expectation with this one. I also had an amazing time listening to you. I didn't talk much because I was just like really into what you were saying. It's all, even if we are um, aware of this, like it's just sometimes it's really good to find the names, to just have it like a structure of these things. Yeah.
It's really nice. It is, yeah. Yeah.
Still typing.
Still
Oh,
looking for the triangle. When you identify the relationship and the position, are there some advice way to escape? Oh, are there some advice ways to escape? Okay, that's interesting. Baron's question: when you identify the relationship and the position, are there some advice or good practices, ways to escape the triangle? No, and for a very good reason. Because we are human and we are all different. And since we are all different, we will have different ways of escaping that triangle. Okay. So a classic example is when somebody, sorry to use this example, but for example, when someone is in a toxic relationship with their boyfriend, okay, and the friend comes and they says, why don't you leave him? Why don't you leave him? Okay, you give your opinion, but then the person stays in that relationship, okay? They have to find their way of exiting the triangle because there is something the triangle is giving them that the other person who is outside may not be able to see. Okay, so it's up to them to find out what that triangle is giving them, how it's going to benefit, how it's benefiting them, how it is not benefiting them, and for them to find the right time as well for them to exit the triangle. So no, there's no set practices. It's really up to you to ask yourself those questions about, am I in a triangle? Am I ready to exit it? And how can I exit it? Okay. So if you notice in coaching, we tend not to give answers or solutions. Why? Because human beings know themselves the best. You are the best owner of yourself. Okay. But what we can give you is tools that can help you raise your awareness of yourself and how you can make yourself better in a situation. I hope that explains it, Baron.
Jakob is asking, so maybe as a tester, I will ask, are there bad ways to try breaking that triangle?
I think it depends on the situation, Jacob. I'm not really one to label things as good or bad. So it will really depend on the situation. I don't really have enough context around that. Don't have enough context.
Yeah, I use it. It depends a lot too. Yeah, but it's
yeah. It's not that I'm using it to escape. So Jacob says, yeah, it depends. It depends a lot too. I'm not using it to escape an answer. It really does depend on the situation. And if you work with me as your coach, you will notice that I will never ever give you a solution to anything. It depends on the situation you are in and your ability as a human to trust yourself, to be creative, to find your way out of that triangle. If you give solutions to people, it may not be the adapted solution for them. Okay, so we try to encourage a culture of coaching people to find themselves rather than telling them what to do. Okay. Isn't it always a plus to be out of the triangle? Yeah. Can't imagine the situation where it would be good to stay there. I completely agree, Catherine. It is always a plus to be out of the triangle when you identify it, okay? So the thing is identifying it. I read an article a few years ago where somebody was stuck in a drama triangle because he was a celebrity and his family was extorting money from him. And because he had a relationship with his family, because they were family, he couldn't say no to his family. There's a huge thing of saying no when you feel that you need to say no. So he was stuck in the role of, can anybody guess the role he was stuck in? Yeah, if you have somebody who is he was stuck in the role of a victim. What other role was he stuck in? Can you think of another role he was stuck in? Yeah, as a rescuer. Yeah, so he was both a victim and a rescuer because he was a celebrity, he had money, but at the same time his family were extorting money from him and he couldn't say no. Okay, so when you don't identify this triangle, you can get stuck in that forever and ever and just keep going on and crazy in your mind. But when you realize you're in a drama triangle, you can find a way of exiting that triangle, irrespective of the other people staying in it. Does it take hard work? Yes, it does. And that is the joy of life. Hard work is part of life.
Okay, I'm just looking if I didn't miss anything with the comments. Oh,
Guilt is annoying.
Catherine is also saying that it was her first webinar attending.
Oh,
yeah, awesome.
That is so cool. Oh, thank you, Catherine.
Okay, should we give you some moments? I mean, we're still here, but we wouldn't like to keep you too long. I'm sure that also if you'd like to connect with Crystal after the webinar, she is. I can tell you from my experience, she's very nice person to talk to, and I highly recommend to get in touch with her. And if you have any questions, just feel free to contact her. I'm going to work on that Warsaw event. I'm inviting Crystal to come to Poland.
Wow.
Yeah, let's hope the situation around will allow us to do that. And we are still very hopeful we will meet in autumn.
Yes.
Yeah, we will count on Crystal in Warsaw now. Oh, see, Crystal, you have no choice. we have to open those borders.
Just want to say a big thank you to everyone. I'm really, really excited about how people were chatting and making it interactive. Thank you so, so much. Really appreciate it.
Yes, your comments were great. I really appreciate that some of you have joined us for the second time or a third time. You know, we are not trying to have as many people as we can on this webinar, but we are just really excited to have you being engaged and, you know, and and to have that interaction. And with you, it was really great today. Thank you for that. I think we all had great time. Okay. So once again, feel free to contact Crystal with any more questions. Contact me if you have any ideas for next webinars. There is one more coming soon, but like we are open for all your ideas. So if you need anything, just let us know. And have a nice day. And as I always say, stay healthy, stay safe, take care of yourself. We are looking forward to meeting you again at the other webinar, or hopefully at one of our events.
Stay safe, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.